Hey everyone, F2P here, and I'm finally back with another video for you guys. Now, before we get into the video at hand, I'd like to just do a quick update on my channel and what happened to that Night Sister Part 3 team guide that I did that does a massive amount of damage. It's back up now. It was copyright striked falsely by an individual that claimed that it was his idea, but the individual does not understand how YouTube works. I can't just like steal his idea and that's his copyright. It doesn't work like that. But anyways, long story short, it got resolved. It took a while. I was in like the protocol process for YouTube to verify that it doesn't have any copyright content, but it's back up. Unfortunately, like my views got screwed over, but I mean, I'd just like to say a big thank you to the whole community, the Discord community who supported me, especially in my server, who, even some people even PM'd me saying, just to keep going, don't don't let it hold you back. And at first I wanted to just give up and let it go because I didn't know how to deal with like the legal issues that are in place for this protocol. But I did. Now I know the process, so I'm more confident now as a YouTuber if this ever happens to me and how to deal with this. So just like to say a big thank you to those individuals that PM'd me, helped me out, and any way they can. So now let's get into the video topic at hand. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the two newest ships that came out in the game, and Cad Bane's ship being the newest one that came out, and Hound's Tooth, which came out also, but it came out a bit earlier. And I'm going to be talking about if they're whale worthy or not. Since they're both amazing ships, some people are like still like on the verge of maybe like spending on the ship, or can they just get it to minimum star for these ships to work? And that's what I'm going to be covering in this video. And the gameplays you'll see at a minimum star count that I think is possible for these ships to do just as well as 7 stars. So let's get going with the Hound's Tooth first. So starting off with Hound's Tooth, it's like basically a Enfys nest in the skies. It's going to be taunting, and every time enemy ships attack it, it gains protection up, but it loses actual protection in the long run. But that means it's going to be pretty beefy and really hard to kill. So you'll have to put defense down on the ship to actually do some, extra damage to actually kill it. And once it's max, it's really hard to kill without it having defense down. Now, like this, as you guys can see on the screen, I have the ship at 5 stars, which I found to be the best stars to get it to compete with the 7-star Hound's Tooth that are in my shard, and it just does just as well, surprisingly. The only difference is obviously the minimal like health gain and the protection gain and the power gain to have it to max. But I'd say if you guys are willing to spend just a little bit to get that minimum requirement for it to be just as effective, I'd recommend 5 stars all the way. 3, 4 stars, 4 stars if you buy that initial pack to get it to 4 stars. 4 stars work, but you have to put defense up on your Hound's Tooth to stay up longer, as you guys will see in these gameplays sort of. And yeah, and defense wise, 3, 4 stars does not cut it. People always will take your Hound's Tooth down pretty easily, so that kind of sucks. So yeah, so basically if you guys are willing to spend, I recommend 5 stars at minimum. And if you guys don't care about like the defense on your shard and just want to have like a perfect attack solution, 3, 4 stars will work, but you will need to put defense up on your Hound's Tooth so it acts, it's harder to take down basically. So yeah, so let's move on to the last ship. Last but not least, for the newest ship that came out, which is Xanadu Blood, which is Cad Bane's ship, basically it works at actually 3 stars because it's going to be stealth for like most of the time. It's like a support ship that does damage, calls in assisting ships to assist, stuff like that. It's gonna be stealth most of the time. Chances are your opponent will not go after this ship anyway, so at 3 stars you don't even have to spend anything, honestly. It's gonna work just as fine. It's just gonna be a little bit squishy, but again, it's gonna be stealth most of the time, which is awesome. But as you guys can see, I have it at 5 stars. I could have just kept it like at 3, 4 stars, but I did it to 5 so I could farm it easier later on when it comes out in a node, hopefully pretty soon. because they have a tendency, like last year, the ships were, the ships took a very long time to become farmable. So I'm hoping these 2 ships become farmable so I could actually get into some stores. But yeah, for Xanadu Blood, I recommend to maybe get it to 4 stars to not be as squishy. But again, it's stealth, so 3 stars work just as well. All the movesets and mechanics for the ship does exactly as it would in 7 stars when it's maxed. So just keep that in mind. The only difference with the stars is, the damage, health, and the power of the ship. Now, just keep in mind, you gotta have all these pilots to gear 12. So you gotta have Bosk gear 12, 7 stars. You gotta have Cad Bane gear 12, 7 stars for these ships to be usable. Now, I know Cad Bane's probably the one that's no one's ever geared. Probably you don't even have stars, but that's just my perspective for the end game people. People who actually love bounty hunters and actually have these ships maxed. So that's pretty much it. This video is pretty short, but that's my opinion. In the gameplays you guys see at 5 stars, Houndstooth just does work. It's awesome. It just does work the same as a 7-star Houndstooth, which I love. And Xanadu's Blood is just always stealthing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section down below if you enjoyed the video, if it helped you a little bit to decide if you wanted to spend on these ships to 7 stars or not. And be sure to check out my Discord server. That's where you could get in touch with me one-on-one, and I will be answering like a lot of questions. We do discussions for next video topics and talk about everything about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So be sure to join if you're on Discord, and make sure to check out my Patreon if you haven't already. That's where you can get communication with me one-on-one on your game. I can help out with your game, tutor you on your game, and give you specific advice on what to farm, what to save on, stuff like that. It's pretty exclusive stuff for my Patreons, and yeah, so be sure to check that out. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for everyone that helped me out with the Night Sister fiasco video. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.